Many theologians would say that all theology starts with God. But others, and I would be among this group, believe that theology actually starts with us, with our sense of who God is in our lives and what God is calling us to be or to do. Thus, we begin our study in this course with a discussion of what is our call or our vocation. And I use those terms, vocation and call, interchangeably. You know, the Bible is filled with stories who felt called by God. I mean, there's Abraham being called to leave his home and establish a new nation in a new part of the world. There's Moses being called from the inside of a burning bush to liberate an enslaved people. There's the little boy Samuel, who hears a voice that he doesn't recognize as God's voice until he's directed by Eli to respond saying, "Here I am, Lord." There's Peter and James, who are out casting their nets in the sea, and they hear Jesus say, "Leave your nets and become fishers of people." And these are just a few of the many examples we find in the Bible of people who were called to do and be certain things by God. Now, one story of call that has always intrigued me is the call of Jeremiah, who wrote in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4, these words. He said, "The word of the Lord came to me. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." And when Jeremiah wrote these words, he was not a happy camper. He was saying, I never had a choice as to what I was going to be or do. It was settled and done before I was even born. And in call, there is no sense that I choose my call. My call chooses me. As the article by Harningberg points out, one's call is not about one's choice. Rather, there is a sense of compulsion, a sense that in order to live a life of meaning and integrity and purpose, I must follow a certain path at this time. A wise mentor once said to me as I was beginning in urban work, "If you can think of anything else that you could do that would be more meaningful and fulfilling, do it, because you must be called into this work." So that's why I'm asking us to consider, what is it that compels you to give your life in solidarity with the poor, to serve young and old and middle-aged people who others have cast off, and to work for justice in a culture that stresses personal gain and upward mobility? Who or what calls you to do this work? That's the question I want us to consider as we begin this journey toward developing our theology of the city and our theology of our work in the city.